gears here now to a very different story. But very parallel lines. Very parallel lines. Autumn Swansen. Autumn, how are you?
Good.
Now, Autumn's been competing for a long time and has had a lot of success on her own for many a year. She's very accomplished in the gym. She's very accomplished outside of the gym. She's a doctor. She's married. Her husband's a competitor. And that's really where everything started. We've known each other for a while, but we didn't know each other like we do now. Brent and I, Autumn's husband, would talk quite often. We saw each other a few years ago at Chuck's show, Illinois State, and we sat by each other talking the whole time. And again, the year before. And Brent at that time was competing, and he took third at a regional show, and he was very distraught. And we had a conversation, and he decided that night that he wanted me to take over his training. That night. It was not the next day. So I sent him his program the next day, and within 3 weeks, he went from third at a regional show to winning Junior USAs. Autumn had already qualified for the Olympia. Again, was already accomplished. Had already won the St. Louis Pro, and it was only a few weeks earlier, wasn't it? Yeah. Autumn, what was it that all of a sudden made you decide, hey, you know what? Let me bring Mandis on to make this run for the O. That's got to be hard because, again, you're already accomplished and you had just come off of a win. Where was your mindset, and what made you say this is the right move for me?
Well, I mean, I guess a lot of different things. I'd kind of, after my win, I'd picked some brains of some people, showed them my pictures of people that, were prominent people in the industry and what they thought. And, I had a lot of people say, don't change anything. But then I knew where I wanted to get to, and, I saw what a great job you did with Brent. I've, like you said, I'd seen you through the years backstage, and I was in agreement with what these athletes were coming to you and the advice you gave back. Which a lot of times I hear things and I'm like, oh no, I feel for people that, I'm like, oh, I wish I could tell them different, but you can't set boundaries. And so I knew that we were a lot alike as far as our thinking and our training and mentality, like just from talking to you and seeing how you work, and you produce great athletes. It just made perfect sense. Like, it was just like for a reason, and here we are, in the same state and relatively close. And so, it was a no-brainer because I needed just really more of the confidence. Like, I love how you will just say what you think and like put it out there and have confidence in us. Like, and what you say, like, generally happens. Like, what you've just got a really keen eye. You've got you're always going to be honest feedback, like, whether you like it or you don't, and say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done. So I just all around was like, I've always told people it doesn't matter, like, not that it doesn't matter who your coach is, but you can't just get on. I feel like a lot of people get on a team and say, oh, I'm going to be on such and such team, and then I'm going to go.
Right.
It's like, it's not like you just get on a name and then you, like, no. I mean, judges didn't know me. Judges, I'm sure, didn't know you.
Right.
It's people want to say that it's so political, and maybe in a sense, and maybe even at a lower level, I think more so, but at the top level, I mean, they're judging what they see.
Right.
And, they try to be as fair as possible. I mean, they have the whole world watching, the bodybuilding world. I mean,
I remember when we started, and the first week or two, a couple of our conversations had me thinking, I wonder what this prep is going to go like, because again, Autumn's very accomplished. Autumn is very in tune with her physique. Autumn has had a lot of success on her own. And she said, I know a lot of what I like to do. I know a lot of what I like to eat. You know, I want to be able to just bounce things back and forth. I said, okay. And I thought to myself, but you're coming to me for help. So I realized it had to be much more of a give and take because she is far more in tune with her physique at the point where she was at, as opposed to Brandon, who was new, where he said, Coach, what do we do? I laid out the plan, he follows it and executes it. Okay, this was the exact opposite. And a week or two later, Autumn said, you know what? Send me all my workouts. Send me the breakdown of everything you want me to do from morning to night. And that took me by a little bit by surprise. I don't know if I ever told you that, because I was also extremely humbled and flattered. And it made me really excited to know someone who is as accomplished as you were and has been around as long as you were. You decided, I'm going to put this in your hands. And I really think that working with Brent and then working with you drew us a lot closer, a lot faster. And with that being said, we didn't miss a beat. Our communication was always what it needed to be. We would have conversations back and forth. The things that she knew worked for her, she didn't have a problem saying, hey, I adjusted this, or hey, I think we need to do that. It's very different than Brandon and I's relationship, but it works. It's not a dictatorship. It's an open line of communication. And ironically enough, again, you ended up finishing 5th at the Olympia. Both of you were rookies. Neither of you were known. I at the time was not known at all. So again, politics, let's throw it right out the window. Both of you shocked the world, but with phenomenal physiques. Now, Autumn, there was a lot of people who thought you really should have finished 3rd, as high as 3rd. I think you kind of started to set a new standard and a new look for what they were starting to look for in women's physique.
Yeah, it was right around the time when they were having the meetings and making changes.
Yes.
And so I think that's kind of what some of the judging, I was ecstatic to get 5th, but you know, I also know, and this is what I hope to always do, is not want to trade my body for anyone else's. It doesn't matter what my placing, you know. I'm
If
sure
I looked like her, I wouldn't either.
I'm sure you felt the same, you know, even though you were 5th, like we were 5th, but you probably wouldn't have changed anything. No. You wouldn't have wanted to be in anyone else's shoes. So, you know, and that's what it's all about.
Now again, very different, but same results. Autumn's transition out of the O was very different than Brandon's. Brandon's was pretty smooth. He just was not really any bit of a rebound. He kind of transitioned out, did a little bit of living, stayed in touch, and we kept rolling. Autumn has a strong belief in her personal and social life and her relationship with her husband and her family, and was very focused for the Arnold, and I think you kind of made a shift. You decided to sacrifice some of your own personal things to really make that push, and immediately you were ready to say, let's go get this thing. Again, turned around a short time later, in Autumn, not only did you win the Arnold with almost no off season, you made huge improvements, but you beat every single person that was ahead of you at the Olympia, except for one. What did it have to feel like to know a few short months later, you knocked off 4, 3, and 2 right off of your list? Where was your head?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great vote of confidence. You know how I always compare my progress pictures from the last show at the same points in time.
Right.
So, you know, I knew that I was going to be better because every side by side I was better. And so I had that confidence as well. And yeah, so it made it, like you were saying, like it made it more, you know, yes, these are dreams, but we're in the dreams. We're living the dream.
You are the dream.
Like
you are the dream.
Yeah. And it's like fulfilling it. So it's just been, it's so surreal, but then at the same time, it's like, it's happening. Like that date's set, we're going, whatever, you know, and it's like, it's happening, so we're gonna be ready.
Keep moving.
Yeah.
Now, once the Arnold happened, that's when I believe they decided you were the new standard for women's physique. There's been talk across the country that your look is really the type of look they would like the division to go towards. Easier said than done. You naturally have a tiny waist, but the rest of your physique you've built. You know, and you and I talk about this a lot, and we like to joke, and you say, yeah, it's all based around my little waist. But Autumn, you have created an illusion and a physique around your midsection that really is, if not the most aesthetically pleasing female physique in the IFBB, the top 2 or 3, you know. In another division, someone might say Latoria Watts is also a cartoonish character, where her proportions are just so astronomical that it's a wow factor. But so is yours. And I know you had a little bit of a hard time though after the Arnold.
Yeah.
You ran into a few things. There was a few issues, and it was rough. It was a little bit of a rough resetting. But mentally, for someone who looks like she does and speaks the way she does, and she's so kind and so funny and so nice, you want to talk about mental toughness? Wow. You don't be fooled, because every problem she runs into, she says it with a smile and a little bit of a high-pitched voice, but there's a bulldog behind that. It's incredible. And I found that very interesting, because then what happened was we finally were able to make a reset, and it was almost like the switch was turned and you said, let's go get this. Let's go get this. And people wanted to know if the gas tank was full or not. Oh, it's full and you're ready to go.
Well, it's overflowing. A lot because of Brent, you know. I mean, he's right there visibly my motivation in the physical. So, you know, getting in contest shape is right, you know, in front of me. So it's a constant push. You know, I push him, he pushes me. So that's a lot of it, because we're in a town, you know, I've always been in a town that doesn't really get this sport, and you know, and have always questioned like why I would do this. But it's so great to be around people that get it, you know. And so I'm blessed to have him in my life to be right there, you know, as an example for me. So, and vice versa. So that's what we feed off of, because a lot of people in our gym aren't serious about it. So we have to keep each other serious about it.
So you're looking at two completely different stories, two completely different paths, same result. Both finished 5th at the Olympia last year, both as complete unknowns, both shocked the world, then both turned around and dwarfed that physique and really opened everybody's eyes to make everyone realize that you're both legitimate contenders by both of you winning the Arnold. And now both of you are in the best place you've ever been on this push to not compete at the Olympia, but to be an actual contender to win the Olympia. You know, something's got to be said about completely different backgrounds, completely different paths, both of you being here in Illinois. Talk about what you think some of that is about. What's going on here in the Midwest lately? Why do you think some of this camaraderie and success is happening? What do you think has been some of the biggest motivations and changes for you guys? Because again, this is something extraordinary.
Yeah, so weird.
Well, like we were just talking, we're at USA Gym competing in a room with other people that are going to be on the Olympia stage. You know, we're training alongside people today, and that's never happened to me before, and you said you either.
No,
So
right, never.
That's awesome. I mean, I think it's awesome that you're a Christian and open about it, and I am too. And like, it's just fate, you know?
It is, yeah.
It really
That's all it
is. So we're just gonna see whatever the plan is. You know, it's gonna be fulfilled.
Yeah.
So
It's just about timing.
Yeah,
Timing is
totally.
everything. Even if you don't feel like something is happening at the time that you want it to,
right.
don't ever doubt that it won't happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's just the timing. You have to be patient with yourself. And with both of us, I'm sure you were just patient, kept doing the same things. Like, it's so basic, it's so old school. Just go to the gym, get a good training plan, and do your diet, and do your cardio, and that's it. And that's what we can do. That's the same thing we can do. You know, we can do that the same, and you get the result from it. And then combining someone like Manus Bucker with the knowledge in bodybuilding and business in bodybuilding is just, this is the result of it, you know?
Controlling what you can control,
Right.
Yeah.
and what you can't, but don't let it steer you. Don't let it cloud your vision. Just
Yeah.
keep controlling what you can.
Yeah.
I think we talk a lot about we are on a team. You know, we have a very large team. We're mostly based out of the Midwest, and we talk all the time. I mentioned high tide raises all ships. It really does. Autumn, touching on what you talked about, surrounding yourself with other people who are being successful, who are winning, who don't talk about winning, are winning, are doing the things it takes to be successful. And when you're starting out, instead of being wrapped up in your placing, be wrapped up in the work. Be wrapped up in the learning. Be wrapped up in the surrounding yourself with other people who are positive and motivating. And you two are not, there is no two better examples than two of you, because now I think the two of you have a lot to do with the success that's been happening in the Midwest, whether you realize it or not. Because what's happening is there are dozens and dozens and dozens of other athletes that are your neighbors that are saying, he just did it.
Yeah,
She
in
just
our
did it.
area. Yeah.
Well, why can't I do it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about being that quote unquote role model, or someone that others are looking up to, carrying the torch?
Yeah, I mean, that's just been my message. Like, well, not anymore, but I used to work at Hollister. I was a retail manager prepping for the Arnold Classic. You know, you can do anything you want. As long as you're focused and determined, nothing can stop you. Only you can stop you. Like, only I can stop me, but I didn't want to stop me. You know, I was just hungry for it.
I got ready for my first Arnold amateur in a gym like the size of this room. That was my church gym.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And like, people would have excuses. I'm like, no, like, you can make you can make anything work. Like, I will have the best workouts in a hotel work, you know, gym. Like, you can make anything work if you just like refuse to refuse otherwise. So that's important. Don't let excuses get in the way of where you want to be.
Definitely.
Again, great examples, great role models. Both of you have some of the best attitudes there are out there, and are both two of the most humble people, which I think is another huge asset to those of us here in the Midwest, and really for people all over the country and all over the world. Humble yourselves. You know, this is what you do, but you didn't cure cancer.
Right.
You didn't reinvent the wheel.
Right.
You work hard, you're very disciplined, but Brandon, you talk about positive, being positive. Autumn, you're always positive and smiling.
You got to make it part of your life and not your life.
Yeah.
You know?
Neither of you walks around feeling like you're entitled. Neither of you ever walks around feeling like anybody owes you anything.
No. Don't expect anything and be grateful for
what you
everything.
have.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so true.
So we're glad we got to catch up with you guys today.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about two great examples. I couldn't think of two better. Again, you guys are both leading the way, and I think you have more people rooting for you and on your side than you know. All of us, not just underground athletes, not just here in the Midwest, but I think you have a lot of people all over really curious and excited to see what both of you are going to bring to the stage come September, because again, you both are legitimate contenders for both current champions. And the world is waiting to see.
You ready?
Ready?
Autumn, you got to kick it off like last year. I actually got to watch
Yeah.
Autumn win.
And then
Which
I got
is
to
so
watch
cool.
you back there. I was
Yes.
like on the big, you were on the big screen. Like
Yeah.
I'm like eating, like, come on.
Yeah, so it starts with you then. You
Yeah,
got to kick it off
that's
for
me.
us. Yep.
So you both finished fifth at the Olympia last year. Then you both won the Arnold this year.
Wait, there's one more. We have the same birthday.
Yeah.
You have, yes.
Wait.
That's true. It's getting kind of eerie.
So weird.
It is.
Very eerie. And the last thing you guys have to do then is, I guess, win the Olympia this year?
Yes.
Maybe. I guess we'll have
Yeah.
to.
See?
Is that the end of the story?
I think so.
Or the beginning.
Yeah.
Or the beginning?
Yeah.
I think we have to stay tuned, guys. Until next time, Autumn Swansen, Brandon Hendrickson, Amanda Spuckle, Midwest Wrestling Report, we're out.